Monaco 64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This is a live stream. No, we're not running late. It's just gone 9 p.m. London, so just on time. I entitled the live stream "Why Gold and Silver have not gone parabolic." I can talk about that. I can also take questions and answer questions. So iGesso's here. Are we running late? No, iGesso, I'm here now. So hello, everyone. Yeah, this is a question that I had from one of my viewers. Hi, Parlando. One of my viewers, it was Dan Loosemore. He asked why gold and silver have not gone parabolic, like all the gold analysts have been predicting for years. Well, one of the reasons why I think gold and silver have been kept under wraps is because the central banks have acted in concert to keep all the other assets inflated, to print a lot of money, and to keep interest rates low. So if gold were to go higher, a lot higher, let's say when they started doing the QE a few years ago, the market wouldn't have bought it, so they had to keep it down. But I think they're running out of time, though. I don't think they're going to be able to do it for much longer. And I'll tell you why. First of all, I'm going to just see who's here. Greet everyone. Uncle Dudley, evening to everyone. Evening to you. Leonard Breitling, good day from Kingsburg, California. Hi, Leonard. I've seen, yeah, you've been on the live streams quite a few times. Nice to see you again. Amarut 180. Hi, bud. Love your channel. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the feedback. At least I know I'm doing something right when I get comments like that. Russell Doble. Damn, I was just about to go to sleep. Saw you live. Paul Cockrell. Good evening from Scotland. Oh, hi, Paul. Nice to see you here. Truth, Money, and Freedom. Hi, Monaco. Hi, Truth, Money, and Freedom. Silver Granny. Hi, Silver Granny. Ryan Zoo. Gary Steele. Hi, Mary. Do you see another live? Good to see another live feed from you. Yeah, I'm trying to do it now, like Wednesday evening, and then also on a Sunday. So I think that's pretty good. I don't want to do too many. It gets a bit too much. I already do, each video a day. Noodle Nob, hi from Sweden. Hadel, I guess that's Swedish, isn't it? Hadel. Hi, Mario from Yorkshire. That's Dax. Roseberry, hello. Jake from Friendship, Wisconsin. Hi, Jake. CCF C85 from Liverpool. So, yeah, nice to see all the people showing up. Hi, Jane Reynolds. How are you doing? Dontro on Shabos. Cliff, let's get high. Been slamming EOS. Yeah, I mean, let him do it. I mean, Cliff High has been right on a lot of things, but he hasn't been right in everything. I mean, a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, he was calling for silver to be then, up to $100. So he's gotten some things right, but not everything wrong, not everything right. I like Cliff High, but it seems like he's gone off doing his alt reports now. Peter Tenaglia, will the Clinton body count get to 1 million before silver gets to 100? It's probably there already, Peter. I've read a lot about the Clintons years ago. I know I don't talk too much about conspiracies here, but all the stuff that happened in Mena, Arkansas, yeah, they have a heavy body count. Bruce Lumgeyer, hi, Mary from South Africa. Hey, Bruce. V Bjorn, hi, V Bjorn from Norway. Nice to see you again. I'm a 180. Your channel is growing fast. Yeah, it has. I mean, I think I got up to 10,000 subscribers late last year, and it's picked up quite a bit lately. It's nice to see. You just have to keep going. Tony Atkins from Texas. So let me, I was talking about gold and silver, they've been kept down, in my opinion. And because the central banks and the banks, they have acted in concert to manipulate things. I don't think it's going to last for that much longer. And why do I think that? Well, I'm just looking here at the on a chart of the gold silver ratio, and we are at 77, and that chart is looking very bearish. And what does that mean? That means that silver is outperforming gold. And usually, if you're going to have a bull market in the precious metals, you want to see silver do well. And this chart is looking quite good. I'll probably talk about it in the in in a video. Probably tomorrow I'm gonna put the charts in the video. Right now I'm just gonna talk about the chart. I won't show it, but it's looking very good. We got up above 80 or even around 82 earlier this year. So we had the stock markets are continuing to be quite strong. I saw the Dow was up 300, finished above 25,000. But I'm not concerned about the stock market. I'm out of the stock market. I don't really. I have some mining shares, but so gold today, fairly disappointing, but still holding fairly well. We're at 1297. We got to 1302, but silver is doing well. I mean, gold is unchanged and silver is up 1%, so that's a good sign. And I saw an article today that's kind of related to this question, why gold and silver have not gone parabolic. And it might be showing that silver and gold might might start going up now. Let's see here. Where's the article? Yeah, it's in. It was published in Forbes magazine, and it says gold investing goes AWOL as Google searches to buy gold hit 11-year low. So that's quite a contrarian indicator that there's very little interest from small investors to buy gold. So I'll give you guys the link here right on the chat. You can have a look at this article. And I'll put it also when the video, this live stream is recorded, I'll put it in the description as well. Let's see, what else? Ryan Zhu, nice wallpaper, mate. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit controversial, the wallpaper. And the thing is, we moved to this house 3 years ago. We did a lot of work in the house. But my wife liked the wallpaper, and this is in my study, and we kept it. And it's a very expensive wallpaper. It's like William Morris. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. So it would cost a lot of money to replace it. So and it's all right. So let's see. Blue shirt against green wallpaper, trendsetter. Well, I didn't really try. I played golf this evening, actually, so I didn't really. I wasn't thinking about that, but. Kevin Belcher, the only time precious metals jump is when the Fed gets printing press rolling again. QE4 is going to be a doozy. Not necessarily. I mean, they smashed gold and silver in 2011, 12, and they started doing. Hold on a second. Just shut the door. There's some noise in the background. Yeah, they started doing QE in like 09. They kept doing it, and gold kept going down. So, but I think if they do QE again, they lose a lot of credibility, and people will get into gold. I don't think they can get out of QE. There's no way out, of this experiment. Jane Reynolds, thank you for the donation on the super chat. I appreciate it. So let's have a look here. Patrick, hi Mario. As a pre-Raphaelite aficionado, just love your William Morris wallpaper. Well, thank you, Patrick. Uh, Sam B, do you think central banks have planned an aftermath for a collapsed fiat system? Um, Probably. I'm, difficult to say. These guys are quite deceptive. Hope maybe they do have something on their under their sleeves, but or maybe they're so how can I say arrogant that they think they can keep this this fake system going. It's never worked before that you can print money and create prosperity forever. If that were the case, Zimbabwe would be a rich country. The Latin American countries would be very rich. Venezuela would be rich. Weimar Germany would have been really rich as well. Thank you, Patrick, for for the donation. So, Paul England, hi, Mario. Have you read Road to Ruin? Yes, I have. I do have that book on the shelf here. Um, These nuts. Binance Coin is my biggest crypto. It has most use case outside top 5, up 15%. Jefferson Humber, good evening, Mara. Ready for tonight's lessons? Well, yeah, Jefferson, and you can ask questions as well. I mean, that's what I'm doing really here. I was talking about gold and silver, why they've been haven't gone parabolic. I think it's because uh, the central banks for now have been able to contain the crisis of '08. They threw everything at it. They've been acting in concert to keep assets to manipulate all assets, stock markets, bond markets, precious metals. And I think as well the cryptocurrencies have taken a lot of the small investor, younger people, taken their interest away from what would normally be, a safe haven or an alternative to fiat. So that's the other reason why I think gold and silver haven't gone parabolic. But as I said earlier, the gold to silver ratio is actually dropping quite a bit now, and is actually pointing towards maybe a move up in the precious metals. Let's see here. What else? Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about that seems to be interesting because we had a G7 finance ministers meeting in Whistler, Canada, this last weekend. And this week, they're going to have the G7 meeting in Toronto, Canada. And the headline here on Zero Hedge says, and I quote, "The world is on fire. Merkel warns of unprecedented disagreement at G7 summit." And she's actually saying that she's going to challenge the U.S. There seems to be the alliance, basically the G7 seems to be breaking up because I guess Trump is going at it alone. He's not acting in concert with all the other G7 countries. Am I saying that's right or wrong? No, but it's not a good sign, because if you're not going to cooperate with other countries, maybe this concerted action between among central banks, finance ministers to keep markets manipulated, gold manipulated, that could end if there isn't agreement amongst these big, the G7, the most industrialized and wealthiest countries. So that's another thing to keep an eye on, I think. And I'll put the link to this article here as well. So if you guys want to read about it, there you go. Happy cakes. Some of your favorite miners. Well, for silver, I guess Hecla Mining. If silver, that's like an old silver company. But yeah, I don't really have any favorites. I think the best thing to do is to look at look at the HUY or GDXJ and look at the components and just pick a few of those stocks. That's what I recommend. I guess exploration companies are more speculative. but they could make you a lot more money as well. I was into something called Northern Dynasties, NAK. They did really well like 12 months ago, but I gotten out of that. They're supposed to have the biggest gold and copper reserves in Alaska, but they've had problems with the EPA, and it's dropped quite a bit now. And they need a big investor. So that could be a speculative exploration company. NAK. I put the symbol NAC, Northern Dynasty. Let's have a look. No miners outside the U.S. You run the risk of nationalization. Of course, you do. I mean, investing in miners, there's always political risk, managerial risk, environmental risk. Even in the U.S., the company might lose its license. You never know. Bakar to hi Mario from Senegal. Oh, great. Any chance cryptos can change the African fate? Lately, there have been a lot of French companies investing and competing here. We do have gold, lithium, gas, and oil. Yeah, Dakar, that's the capital, isn't it? I remember a long time ago when we used to travel to Switzerland from Brazil, Swissair used to stop in Dakar in Senegal. Yeah, cryptos could help Africa and other less developed countries. I think there's a lot of people who want to grow the crypto world currencies in the less developed countries, because a lot of people in these countries don't have a bank account, and cryptos would help. So yeah, I think there's potential for Africa with cryptos. Travel number 4. Could you let's see? Could you enlighten an overall U.S. corporate debt? Will U.S. corporate debt bring down the whole U.S. economy if most of them fall behind? Yeah, I mean, the U.S. corporations have been taking on a lot of debts because it's been really cheap to borrow, and what they've been doing with that is buying back their stock. So I think there's two things that could hurt them: interest rates going up and the stock market going down. And if those two are combined, stock market down, interest rates up, that could be really bad for corporate debt. I think they're much more leveraged than the consumer now, the corporate sector. So is the government, though. Yeah, just to update you guys as well on the bond markets. Today we've seen last 2 days the Italian 10-year yield has gone right back up. I think yesterday we got to around 240, 250. Earlier last week, about a week ago, we got up to 344, the Italian 10-year, and now we're back to 294. So up 15 basis points today. So we need to keep an eye on Italy. I know the stock market went up a lot today, but and also the US 10-year yield today, that's up 4 basis points at 297. That I think if we go back up above 3%, and challenge the recent high of 313, we could see the stock market come back down. I think we're still not out of the woods in the stock market in the US. So let's have a look. Hi, Anne Klespa from Ireland. Nice to see you. Hi. Let's see. There's a question here from Dax. If 1 ounce silver Britannia costs £18 but has a face value of 2, what value of dog food can Billy expect the supermarket? Well, those face values are just silly. They do, they don't really mean anything. If there was a crisis, I think it would be worth more than the present day £2. I could buy him a bag of, well, but for the fiat money pounds, can buy him a bag of treats right now, I guess. The dentist sticks he likes. Uh, Ray Stevens, do you think the US government created Bitcoin? No, I don't. I don't. Um, Randall McMurphy, let's see. Simply the best. Alan Greenspan created Bitcoin. Well, that's a big weird fantasy, isn't it? Big weird. He thinks there's millions of tons of gold in the Grand Canyon. I don't think Alan Greenspan created Bitcoin. Christine Shiner, hi from Queens, New York. Hi, Christine. Gary, so Fresnillo is a good Mexican silver miner. Yeah, I've heard of Fresnillo. Yeah, that's a good one. Or Pan American Silver is good. Silver Wheaton. I don't know if it's still. Yeah. Jane Reynolds, are 90% silver coins which are legal tender worth buying? Yeah, they are. They're good. The 90% silver. I have 90% silver, the 1964 and pre 1964 silver coins. Test guy. Hi, Mario. How do you think real estate will be affected in an economic crisis? If hyperinflation occurs, will it spill over to real estate, or does it typically drop like in Japan? Well, if there's hyperinflation, what will happen is that real estate market will die. There's not going to be anyone buying or selling because there's not going to be people won't have any money. They won't be getting any credit to buy houses. Uh, the value of the house, though, it will be valuable to have a house, but you won't be able to sell it or get anything, get any second mortgage for it. That's what I think will happen. Bo Bo Bazan, Monaco, do you have an opinion as to when the U.S. stock market will collapse? I don't. It's difficult to say. I think the top week was in January this year, above 26,000. So even though we're going back up, we're above 25,000. I don't think we're going to see a new high. And even if we do, I think it's not going to be much higher than in January. A lot of people who look at cycles, they think that we're already going down from January, and that it's not going to be. We could have like a sharp crash, but a lot of people think it's going to be a slower and unwind until the next year or two. It's always difficult to predict dates, though. Let's see. X200, X6, I don't mean X200, X6000. The collapse in the UK will be catastrophic. Too much population density. Yeah, I mean, the UK, we've got so much debt. The only thing that keeps keeping us going right now is that the government can borrow at very cheap prices, and the government is creating more and more debt. They're running deficits. I remember the previous chancellor, Osborne, in 2010. He said that we'd have a budget balance by 2015. We're in 2018, and now you still have a big deficit, and they're saying that we're only going to balance the budget by 2025. So, yeah, things are not good in the UK. The only thing keeping it going are the fact that interest rates are still been able to be manipulated lower. Look, Hurricane Annie. What happens to the loan on the house? I guess you're talking about hyperinflation. Yeah, a lot of people think that if the system collapses, the currency collapses, that the loan will be written off. But Jim Sinclair, I don't know if you heard of him. He says that if they reset the system after hyperinflation, you can be sure that they'll, you know, not forget about your loan. So don't think that it's gonna disappear. It might disappear for a while, but they'll come back with it. Hopefully, maybe they won't. But euro dollar is going to be 1 to 1. Well, actually, the euro started out below $1 back in '98. I think it traded to a euro was 96 cents. So right now, I'm not sure where we are exactly. Where are we? 116 or something. Where are we? Euro 117. So the euro has done well in the last 20 years. It could go back to 1 to 1. I'm not too sure. There's been a lot of that such prediction of in the last few years. X200. What do you think in general of survivalism movement, Manako? Yeah, I mean, it's always good to be prepared for the worst. And if it doesn't happen, you're not haven't lost anything. I personally am not into that. I mean, I do live in a big city in London. I'm fairly close to the countryside, though. So, yeah. But yeah, I think it's great that some people can do it. I saw a video the other day on Steemit, a German guy living in Costa Rica, and he's got quite a bit of land, he's got growing food there, and he's making videos on Steemit. So why not? Blue Mars Analytics. If you had to choose between cryptos and precious metals, which would you lean and why? Well, I think it's good to have for wealth preservation. I'd stick to precious metals. For speculation, I'd go into cryptos because cryptos, yeah, they move around, and if you get a right coin at the right price, you could buy something one day and a week later it's tripled. And I guess in terms of wealth preservation in the cryptos, I guess Bitcoin would be, the base. That would be less speculative, I think, than the smaller coins. Truth, Money, and Freedom. Have you heard much on the Spanish political issues right now? Not that much. I saw last week the prime minister resigned. They've got a new prime minister, but I think the Italian situation is, oh, kind of how can I say, overshadowing the Spanish one. But Spain is important as well. SC Monaco, I'll be debt free completely in 3 months. I rent and have about 3 ounces of gold and 40 ounces of silver. Should I wait for the housing prices to crash and mortgage to get low interest rates on the mortgage? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would probably wait more. If you don't want to leverage yourself too much, and if you're comfortable with renting, why not just keep saving? And house prices, yeah, I mean, they could keep going up. I remember years ago, people, selling their house because they thought it was going to crash, and it didn't. But I think, yeah, just do what you think is right. Don't really buy a house. My wife and I never really bought a house because we were thinking of the price. We were thinking more to live in the house. So that's the way to look at it. Let's have a look. Bobby Blake. Hi, Mary. I'm afraid to directly invest in cryptos. Would you recommend any blockchain stocks? To be honest, I don't really know of any blockchain stocks. But the point about blockchain is that you don't want to be, you want to be outside the system. You don't want to be in the stock market. You need to learn about how to get a wallet and own the cryptocurrency. Have a look here. Adrian MS. Hi, Mario. In your view, will there come a time when bondholders realize that all this debt will never be repaid? As long as are we a long way from that point? I think there will be a point, Adrian, and I think that will be when if the Fed, especially, has to backtrack and start doing QE and cutting rates. I don't think there's a way out. And the reason why I say that is because the experiment of money printing has been done before. And I'll just get a book from my shelf. Where is it? Yeah, this book here, I recommend it. You can find a PDF of this book. It's called Fiat Money Inflation in France, How It Came, What It Brought, and How It Ended, by Andrew Dixon White. He wrote that like in 1912, Andrew Dixon White, and I highly recommend that book. And it talks about France just after the French Revolution, like in the wake of the French Revolution, before Napoleon came to power, and the French went into this experiment of money printing, the assignats, and they printed a lot of the stuff. And the idea in the beginning is that they would print the money, the paper money, which was revolutionary back then, just to kickstart the economy, and then they would how can I say, unwind it. But whenever they started unwinding, the economy, would start slowing down. So they kept printing, and they could never get out. And what happened? It just collapsed completely. So I think that's what's going to happen. When it's going to happen, it's really difficult to say. But I think when it starts, it's going to be so quick that if you haven't prepared, you won't be able to prepare. It'll be too late. That's why I know it's frustrating for people like us, a lot of us who have gold and silver and been waiting. But I think it's the right thing to do intellectually. I can't, I can't see another way. It will end in tears. It's just a matter of when. I don't. It's difficult to say. Let's see here. Uh, Peter Ramakers, like Greg Manarino, I think if the bond market takes off to higher yields, stock crashes following. Yeah, I agree with that. At the moment, yields have, they went up a few weeks ago up to 313. The 10-year yield went back down to 275 last week, but now we're back up to almost 3% again. So we need to keep an eye on that. Of course, the mainstream media is saying that yields are going up, and Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan is saying yields are going up because the economy is improving, but I think that's rubbish, personally. Glenn Miskevich, thoughts on mining stocks. Some say governments will seize mines from mining companies if things get rough and gold and silver skyrocket. That's true. That could be so, but they didn't do that in the 1930s. They seized the gold. Mining companies were not nationalized, but that's always the risk, mining companies. That's why they're more speculative. So if you really want to own gold and silver, it's the physical stuff, even though you could be burgled or the government come and take it from you. So, yeah, I mean, let's see here, some more questions. Best website. Are the people who control the monetary system lizard people? Yeah, I think that's silly thing. I mean, they're just like us, and the fact that people keep saying they're lizards or they're like extra human, they're special. That doesn't help. I think we need to learn about the monetary system. The reason why they've been able to do it is that people have, you know, uh, they've been taught the wrong things. But now with the internet, we're learning more about the scam. So no, I don't think they're any special. It's just that they've had the monopoly over that knowledge, but now people are beginning to learn more about it. That it's really like a fraudulent fiat money system. But I don't think they're just like us. I think, I don't believe in the lizard theory. Uh, V. Bjorn Gritton, do the people on the top make the economy so complex that ordinary people can not understand how it works? Yeah, definitely. All the jargon, the market jargon, interest rate jargon, and the like quantitative easing, that's just another word for money printing. Operation Twist, that's just another money for printing one kind of bond to buy another. It's just, yeah, they do that to get people, so people don't look at it. They say, oh, this is too complicated, but it's all really easy, and that's what I'm trying to do here. And yeah, don't feel free to ask questions, because uh, I can hopefully be able to put it in layman's term. And yeah, I think that's a good point, V. Bjorn. They do that to keep people uh, in the dark. Let's have a look. Yeah, Silver Mountain Operations Twist. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, they're just trying to manipulate the yield curve. So they were selling, they were printing, uh, you know, the 2 year, selling 2 year, and then taking the money, borrowing and buying the 10 year to get the yield curve lower. Crazy stuff. Uh, I was so hoping Mario had a story of meeting the Queen and her shape shifting on him. I have never met the Queen. I have a good story though. When I was about 5, my dad was a businessman. He traveled a lot on business, and he took the whole family to New York because he did business in New York from Brazil, and we stayed in a really nice hotel in New York, the St. Regis Hotel. And I remember walking in the lobby with my parents, only 5 or 6, and this was like early 70s. And and I look up, and guess who walks right in front of me and passes by? President Nixon. So that I didn't say hi to him, but he just walked past, and my mom and dad said, "Oh, the president." But I've never met the Queen. But actually, I've seen her. I was walking to work once when I worked at MF Global at Lower Thames Street in London, in the city. And this was about 10 to 7 in the morning, and I was crossing the street. And all these motorbikes, policemen on motorbikes, they came and they stopped us from crossing the road. And just behind them came this limo, and in the limo was the Queen sitting in the back with Princess Margaret. And she was coming from the east side of London, which was weird at that time in the morning. So I don't know where she was coming from. So I saw her quite close there. So Christine Shiner, know the St. Regis well. Yeah, it was really nice hotel. Um, Monaco64, what are your favorite YouTubers? Uh, let's see. I like, right now I'm into Richie Allen. Who else do I like? Greg Manarino. I like, I'm going off a little bit, Alex Jones. But I like the Awakenment. He's into the cryptos. I also like, who else do I like? Um, Greg Manarino, I said that already. I can't think right now, but if I think of him, I'll. Jay Snip 4 used to listen to him a lot. I still listen to him sometimes. Let's see. Luke Hammond, Mario, before the 1930s crash, did the government around the world enforce trading tariffs? No, I think it was only after the crash that the U.S. Um, came up with the Smoot-Hawley Act, which was, and some people blame, they point to that as why the depression got worse. But personally, I'm not too sure about that. I think the depression got worse because you had such a great boom in the 20s, and the Roaring 20s. That the depression was just a correction. So let's have a look here. The other YouTube channels I like, sometimes just watching some old golf tournaments, like the Masters has a YouTube channel, and I watch old, final rounds from the 70s. I love golf history, so it's got nothing to do with markets, but it's one of my favorites as well. Let's have a look. Uh, Bitcoin believes if the root of the word economize is economy, why are we on the cliffs of wastefulness? Yeah, I mean, I guess economy also comes from Greek, like good housekeeping, isn't it? So no, I mean, they've corrupted a lot of words. Bitcoin believes. Jack MH, hi Mary. If you were 25 years old and had 130,000 pounds saved, how much of your portfolio would you diversify into crypto and precious metals? My outgoings are very few, thanks. Uh, well, I don't really want to advise people on that. I mean, you should, if you have that amount saved, that's really good. But let's say I personally probably would take 100, or keep 30,000 maybe, in maybe a little less in cash, and then put 100 or a little more in gold, precious metals, and crypto. I would put 80% in precious metals and 20% in crypto, and keep some cash. Not that I think cash is good, but you might need some emergency, so you don't want to put everything into into the markets, and have to sell it. So yeah, always keep a bit of ammunition. UN scammable. Lynette only understands 50% of hyperinflation. I like Lynette Zhang. My wife listens to her. She likes Lynette Zhang. Haven't listened to her that much. Oh, I also like Dave from the X22 report. I think he's good. I just wish he'd show who he is. It'd be nice to know who he is, but that's his prerogative. Hyperinflation, for me, is the loss of confidence in the currency, and it doesn't only happen when you have a lot of economic growth and tight labor markets. It's usually during a recession or a depression you get loss of confidence in the currency. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a cost push inflation. It's a currency event. Let's have a look. Simply the best. Is saving money with a bank dangerous nowadays? Because maybe in the near future, money is not guaranteed like you. Yeah, definitely, and especially if you have a lot of fiat in the bank and it's above the insurance levels. And nowadays, your money, it's not your money in the bank anymore. They consider it unsecured lending to the bank. MG Private, for what it's worth, I've met Prince Charles twice, and he's not a lizard, I can assure you. Also, the Queen and himself are smokers. I don't think lizards like smoke. I said MG Private earlier in this live stream. I don't think any of these people are different from us, and we shouldn't think that, or else we're always gonna like think they're better than us, and I don't think they are. A depression is opposite of hyperinflation. I don't think it is. Hyperinflation, is a depression. Believe me. Uh, Niels Bostelman, do you think Satoshi Nakamoto is Alan Greenspan? No, I don't. Ian Collister, central bank ownership. I think yeah, they're more like a hybrid. Some of them are, yeah, like they're publicly kind of owned, but they're controlled by the commercial banks and the private banks, kind of a hybrid. So, like a fascist institution. And we have to, who controls the banks? We don't know because it's so hidden now, like the real owners of banks. There's like a lot of companies and trusts behind it. So, but we can speculate, who they are. Comet Commando, do you think the crypto market will be managed like the futures market of other commodities? Uh, I don't think so. Not really. Um, yeah, I don't think so. I think the crypto markets hopefully will be a market, something completely outside what we've got now, the traditional fiat market. It's a shame they have the uh, Bitcoin futures, but I don't think it will succeed. Sasha B, greetings from Switzerland. Keep up the good work. Hi, Sasha B. Yeah, nice to see you here. Uh, Vinny Vin. So if metals are that good, create an online exchange system like PayPal, yet for metals. If you buy and own metals online, you can buy and sell products, service for metals. Thoughts? Um, yeah, I mean, I remember I had some. There was something called e-gold. That was even before Bitcoin in 2004 or five, and I put some money into e-gold, and I had a card that I could spend the gold, and I could use that card. But the U.S. government clamped down on it, so it's been done before. So, but governments don't like competition, do they? Because gold and silver are real money. But with the blockchain, I think that might come back. You could have something outside the system, a crypto with gold and silver backing. But the most important thing about gold and silver is that it's like a lot of time in a world of fiat money where the system is corrupt and rotten like it is now. I think it's good to keep the gold and silver, not to spend it. I don't know if any of you have heard of Gresham's law. And Gresham's law is that bad money drives away good money from circulation. And that's why I think gold and silver are not being used, because people know that it's too good to use. They'd rather spend the fiat. Gresham's law. Let's have a look. Bitcoin believes if the system really implodes, water will be worth more than gold. Of course, yeah, that's true, but you'll be able to go somewhere um, to a farm, some in the countryside farm where there's a stream. You'll be able to even use silver, maybe pay the farmer to access water. I know what you mean, though. What will hyperinflation look like in suburbia America? It will be, I guess you could think of the LA riots times, I don't know how much. It won't be good. It won't be pretty if you do get hyperinflation. Um, Links 59, most central banks will not let cryptos continue in their present form without some participation for themselves, guaranteed. I don't know about that because the whole thing about cryptocurrencies and the blockchain is openness, transparency, trust, decentralization, everything that goes against central banking. So I'm not sure if they'll be able to compete with it. I hope they won't. Princess Monaco. Prince. You mean Prince? UN scammable. We are witnessing the beginnings of hyperinflation in America now. Look at Venezuela, BVC index. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even during the Weimar Republic, um, German stock market did very well. It held its value. Maybe that's what we're going to get, hyperinflation. Maybe that's why the stock market doesn't want to go down. We'll see. Oh, Monaco, can you explain to us what your username means? Yeah, so my name's Mario Ineco, INNECO, and my dad was Mario as well, so I was Mario Jr. And my dad used to gave my sisters and I nicknames. He liked to give us nicknames, and as I had the same name as him, he gave me the nickname Monaco from Mario and Ineco, Monaco, so we could distinguish from Mario Senior to me. So that's why. And then, but when I went to university, I started working. I used Mario as my name, but my sisters, my mom, they still call me Maneko. So I thought it'd be good to use my nickname that my dad gave me. 64 is the year I was born, 1964. So that's why it's Maneko 64. Uh, the collapse will be sudden. I think so too. Like a thief in the dark, isn't there a saying like that? Kaiser report. I like Max Kaiser as well. I haven't listened to him much, but yeah, that's another guy I like to listen on YouTube. Max Kaiser, the Kaiser report on RT. I met Max Kaiser a few years ago when I was still working in the city. I went to a gold conference, FT Gold Conference, and he was there, Max Kaiser. Derelict 5. Don't you see that the legacy system is not subject to market forces? Value must reconcile outside of it. These are just unconstrained digital numbers. I agree. It's all really manipulated. Uh, there, the stock market, you know, is just a number. It's completely, like you said, it's uh, it's devoid of, it's not real value. So that's why it's going to be quite ugly when things readjust or reset, if you want to call it. Nick Ashworth, hey, Marco, it's Mario, not Marco. You have talked about your career in the financial area. My question is, what's the key to longevity in an ever-increasing, fast-moving career? Well, I worked in finance for just about 25 years in the city. Uh, I don't think there's any secrets. It's just I always try to be on time. That's the first thing. If when you go to your office, always be on time. Work hard. Um, what else? Yeah, I mean, always try to learn different things. Yeah, it's like I have an uncle who's a doctor in Brazil, medical doctor, and he always told me that he kept it's like you always have to keep learning new things. You have to try to learn new things. Always, adapt because things change, especially nowadays. So I think that's one of the keys, maybe. Uh, Max gives me a headache to listen to. Licks 59. Yeah, he can get a little bit, over the top. But I think Stacy Herbert kind of balances it out. She's a bit calmer. Gerald Salente, yeah, I like Gerald Salente too. Um, MG Private, would you agree that once a futures market is open on a crypto, it stops its growth in its tracks as it becomes influenced by regulated banksters? The thing about the Bitcoin futures is that it's not it's cash settled. So when you trade Bitcoin futures, there's no Bitcoin involved. I don't think it's going to go that far, but it could be influenced by the bankers. I haven't checked the open interest numbers to see if the bankers are getting a big, how can I say, stranglehold on the Bitcoin futures. Um, Shane Sturgis, everything in England, uh, from food to fuel, is rising almost weekly. I think we will have a new prime minister after the summer break. Theresa May is too weak to handle Brexit. Yeah, Shane, I agree. It's the way they've been inflating everything is amazing, and it's going to get worse. And when it does, it could be very quick. We could get hyperinflation. They've kept Bank of England has kept interest rates so low for so long. Between a quarter and a half a percent, while the real rate of inflation, I think, is more like 5 or 10% every year. So not good. UN scammable. Why has Gerald Celente been wrong for so long? Well, a lot of people in the alternative have been wrong. Uh, but just because they're wrong doesn't mean to say, it won't happen. I think it's just the fact that, the markets have been hijacked. Like, who was it that said earlier? I forgot. One of the viewers was talking about how everything doesn't reflect reality anymore. So I think that's why people have been wrong. It's just there's no markets anymore. It's not freely. There's no the law of supply of demand has been hijacked by the central banks because they can create uh, supply of money artificially. They can create demand for assets artificially by doing no work, just by typing on a keyboard and entering one with loads of zeros or two with loads of zeros. And but it's not going to last forever. Mark Walsh, Mario, do you find it odd that the crisis in Venezuela is barely covered in the UK mainstream media? Is there an agenda there? Well, I don't know. I think it's been going on for a while, that crisis. So, but yeah, maybe they want to keep it away from the people because people realize, oh, we're doing the same things we're doing in Venezuela as well. Maybe that could be why. I don't know. Rod Panhard, was the massive rise in Bitcoin the banks buying so they wouldn't have enough to manipulate it? You never know. It could be. It could be. Uh, but it could be maybe when it got to 5,000, they said, "Oh, we need to and started going up a bit more." They thought, "Oh, we've missed the boat," so they just squeezed it up and brought it down, and maybe they're buying now. You see, they wanted to. You never know. Simply the best. If you have hyperinflation of currency, then you understand the value of gold. Yeah, definitely. Uh, Jacques Alagoa, thank you for the donation. Good to see you again. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Jacques Alagoa. Comic Commando, Mario, does your daughter share your contrarian views? Not really. She, I guess she's a contrarian, but I taught her well, but she's contrarian to a lot of my views. So I can't, I can't change her views. So, but she's more, yeah, she's not, doesn't have the same views as I have. But you know, I'm glad. At least she thinks for herself. So I can't. But so she is contrary. But to me, uh, Vbjorn Gritton, do you think Italy will get problem from EU when they will try to bring on civil wages that other countries don't have? What do you mean by civil wages? Like to raise civil servants' wages? I don't know. They could get in trouble. I mean, the market's already reacting to the speech by the new prime minister. I think it was yesterday or the day before. It looks like they want to, even though they have huge debts, the Italians, they want to keep spending and spending. And where's the money going to come from? I don't know. Yeah, that's the other thing about Italy. I know that the euro's been a straitjacket, but the politicians in Italy, they're to blame as well, and the people. They've got big government. They want social, a lot of government spending. So Jane Reynolds, the suppression of precious metals is because the central banks are buying precious metals. Yeah, I mean, I've actually one of the things that I think sometimes is that in 2008 the system almost collapsed, and the Chinese, I remember, they owned a lot of U.S. debts, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and that's why they had to save the system because the Chinese said, "You guys got to do something about this." And the other thing they said to the Americans, you also have to make sure we're able to, add on to our gold holdings, especially if you do money printing or QE. And maybe that's why, the gold price has been kept down to allow the Chinese, the Russians, and everyone else to get gold. Even though we think that America and China and Russia are, don't have great relations, but that's just for public consumption. Behind the scenes, we don't know. So that could be it. That could be one of the reasons why. Uh, Dax, Mario, I guess you learned calculus at school. Have you needed to use it in the last 40 years? Yeah, I mean, maths wasn't my best subject, and I did do calculus. But yeah, it's funny. My maths and stuff, like improved when I worked in the city, working with numbers. So yeah, I've had to use it, but I think I understand a lot more about maths now than I did when I was at school. But yeah, my favorite subjects were like history and like geography, and yeah, maths wasn't my strongest, but I did do calculus. Patrick, thank you for the donation again. Uh, Over here, who would you like to have met that was alive in your lifetime? Uh, that's alive still now that I'd like to meet? Uh, I don't know. Jack Nicklaus, the golfer. Play a round of golf with Jack Nicklaus. I think he's a very nice guy. And he's yeah. No, I've met Ron Paul. I went to the Mises Institute in 2002. I went with my wife for the Mises Institute 20th anniversary. We flew from London to Atlanta, and then we drove to Auburn, Alabama, and Ron Paul was there. He made a speech. He was in some of the lectures. It was really nice to meet Ron Paul. And I was talking to him about Alan Greenspan, about the essay that Alan Greenspan wrote in the 60s about gold and economic freedom. And as some of you might know, Ron Paul was in the finance committee in the House, and he used to ask questions when Greenspan used to testify. So he knew Greenspan, and I asked him, what does Greenspan think of his essay from 1966? And he said, well, I went to him with the essay, and for him to sign it, to sign an autograph. And I asked him, "Do you still believe in everything you wrote?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "But the people don't want that. The people don't want sound money. They don't want to be frugal. So the politicians give the people what they want." Um, let's see. Bjorn Gritton, Martin Armstrong says that gold and silver will not take big steps up before ordinary people begin to buy more of them because loss of trust in government. Yeah, that could be true, but also it could be, the big investors as well. They might lose trust as well because big investors buy a lot more. But big investors need to realize that buying it with the banks and leaving it with banks. I know people who buy it with J.P. Morgan. Would you really trust? They need to buy the physical. The Dallas Cardano, Petro Yuan backed by Shanghai physical gold. Could the West start using Bitcoin rather than gold and so crash the value of gold? China, Russia. I don't know. I don't think there's enough Bitcoin. Well, there is. There's always enough of something. It just depends on the price, of course. But the Petro Yuan is indirectly backed by gold. It's not. You can buy the oil futures, get the yuan for it, and then you get the yuan and you take it over to the gold exchange in Shanghai, and then you get the physical gold. It's indirectly, but you can do it. You should come to Branson's at Missouri, I guess, in 2019 Legends of Golf tournament. Yeah, the Legends. I think that's one of the oldest senior tournaments. Yeah. Um, One tournament I like to go once is the Masters. To go there 1 year to watch the Masters in Georgia. I'd like to do that. Yeah, X200 is talking about very interesting anecdote about Greenspan. Gives good insight into the elite psychology because the elite want the people to consume and not be frugal. Yeah, because if people are frugal and don't borrow and spend, the fiat money system collapses. And Greenspan understands that, he just played the game. He went along with the game. It's what people wanted. Monaco, my missus says you look like Norris Cole from British soap Coronation Street. I don't know who he is. I don't really watch much television. I've heard of Coronation Street. I'll have a look. Norris Cole. Thank you, Derelict, for the donation. Derelict says the cryptos are the only route to reconcile value outside the digital fakery. Uses the same digital tech immutable legitimacy. Oh, the irony. I agree. I think cryptos and the blockchain are here to stay. And that doesn't mean to say I don't still believe in gold and silver, because gold and silver will always have value. Don't know what value they will have in relation to what, but there will always be money. But yeah, I think that's why I put have some participation in EOS. I think EOS is going to be something to keep an eye on. A lot of people don't agree with me, but that's why there's a market. Market, you have buyers and sellers. You have to respect that. Scott Wordle, greetings, Mario, from Eden Prairie, Minnesota. What does your family think of Your celebrity status. Do your friends tease you? No, no, I'm not a celebrity. I've got 18,000 subscribers. I have some friends at my golf club who watch my videos, but no, my wife, no, she watches other people. She says sometimes watches my videos. They don't tease me. No, I don't even think of myself as a celebrity. I think that's a silly thing, celebrity and stuff. It's not why I do these videos, but so be it. Uh, Over here, I would have liked that Winston Churchill baffling to me why, let's see, why he was voted out while World War II had not ended. Yeah, let's see. Dan Reynolds, in the event that there was a banking holiday, are there any really safe holding companies that would not let anything get between you and your gold and silver? Maybe gold money, but then you probably wouldn't be able to use the card. You might be able to get the delivery of the gold and silver. So yeah, it's really, you need to really be careful. And if you are going to have physical gold at home as well, you need to be careful, hide it very well. Um, Matt Calhoun, do you think stock debt markets are absorbing most of the excess money that has nowhere better to go and eating up potential money velocity, holding down inflation? Yeah, it is. And it's not going into commodities either. You look at the CRB index; it's risen since 2016, but it's still very low. So yeah, they've been able to. It's the central banks again. They've been able to keep people playing the game. Bailey Tugati, EOS is very interesting for sure, but you should look at is that Cardano? I guess ADA. Yeah, I have looked at Cardano. Uh, Bitcoin believes, yeah, my wife sees too much of me. Yeah, before I started doing videos, I used to talk to her about these things, and sometimes she used to, get tired of it. But she listens a lot to you know, other people like Greg Manarino. She likes Lynette Zhang. She was listening to Gerald Celente earlier today. So yeah, Dax Billy is a celebrity. He's off doing interviews with Max and Stacy. uh, 2Manolo3, Monaco, do you have t-shirts for sale with your face on and financial quotes? Uh, I did I did some t-shirts uh, like a month or so ago, and also mugs. Right now, I haven't got anything, but I might do some t-shirts again. We'll see. I'm not really trying to do a lot of merchandising. This is, I don't know. Of course, it's good. You sell more stuff, but it's not really what I'm focusing on. If a lot of people demand it, maybe I'll think about it. Rod Panhard. Draghi steps down soon, and it's Germany's turn to provide the next ECB head. Will this result in a change to the whatever it takes attitude? Definitely. The Germans, they've always been sound money proponents. And why is that? Well, because they've had really bad experiences with hyperinflation and inflation. Well, Weimar Republic after World War II, they had their completely imploded everything. They were using cigarettes as money, and then they started the Deutschmark. They went back to sound money. Yeah, it would if it had been a German that was head of the ECB during the 2011, 2012 European sovereign debt crisis, things would have been a lot different, I think. Over here, who is the best world leader right now? You are over here. We should be the leaders. Uh, well, kind of joking, of course. No, I think it's Putin or Putin. Some people have joked about my the way I say Putin, but I guess it's Putin. I don't think it's Donald Trump, really. Donald Trump is all over the place. He does things that, in my opinion, are good, but on the other hand, he does things that have nothing to do what he does on this side. While Vladimir Putin, he's quite straight, in my opinion. Like, that's the way I see it. Uh, who is the worst world leader? Uh, let's see. Theresa May, maybe. uh, Macron in France. Yeah, all the other leaders. Merkel, I think she's, yeah. Bitcoin Belize. Are you familiar with Edward Bernays? Yeah, I think he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He was the guy who started all the advertising, mind control of advertising in the 1920s. I think he was the guy who started women smoking, uh, and that was a campaign to sell more cigarettes. Yeah, I guess he's the father of marketing, and the consumer society that we've had. We have a lot. He has a lot to answer for it, doesn't he, Edward Bernays? One good solution for democratic reform is the none of the above idea. Very nice idea to think about. Yeah, I think the way to is for everyone to boycott going to elect these people. Why should we legitimize all these politicians that lie and cheat and steal and break promises every time? The only guy that never did that was Ron Paul. So just why vote for them? We don't. If we don't, yeah, just don't vote. Don't go. Gustavo Adolfo, hi from California. From your point of view, what are the elites waiting for to make the reset? Uh, they'll probably be negotiating behind the scenes, in different countries. I mean, a lot of times it looks like they're fighting and but it's probably, I don't know. Don't know what they're waiting for. When the tide turns, maybe. Shane Sturgis, the problem in England is everybody blames the royals or the government for their circumstances. It is their own fault for buying things they can't afford. We live in a throwaway society. I agree. I mean, you every your decisions are the most important things. And the other thing that I think a lot of people, not only in England but in other countries, they expect governments to be there for them to support them, and I think that's the wrong attitude as well. Uh, Matt Jackson, does the average Joe working in finance in the city know or even care about the big picture and impending economic dangers ahead? No, I mean, I was there, when I started learning about these things in 2001 and 2, and then reading about it. I had one or two good friends in the office who I started talking to them, and they got interested and they started reading, they started buying gold. But I would say I could count in one hand those guys, out of a few hundred people. And most of them, people, you talked about these things, they didn't want to know. and they didn't understand a lot of it. So yeah, there's maybe it's changed now, but that's how it was when I was there. Vinny Vin, elite can afford hyperinflation. You can't. So they got you again, sheep slaves. Yeah, and that's why you need to be prepared for it. Um, Vinny Vin. James Mitchell, I bought A History of Central Banking on your recommendation, a life-changing book. Thank you. I'm reading George Tabor's Chasing Gold about loss of central bank gold in World War II in Europe. Yeah, I mean, World War II is interesting because the Bank for International Settlements kept running in Basel, Switzerland, and like uh, the warring countries were dealing with each other. They kept, it's like shameful, and it's amazing that people don't know about it. You know, the head of the Reichsbank was working there, working with the Americans, the British, and they were all financing each other, and they're on the battlefield, they're killing each other. Dax, Mario, why gold and silver have not gone parabolic, or did I miss it? Well, I spoke, I guess, in the beginning a little bit about why. I think it's because the central banks, you know, and the governments have done everything they can to keep gold suppressed. So to keep people in the fiat game, that's why. And the fact that the markets have behaved, the financial markets, that has kept gold and silver from rising. But I don't think it can last forever because if because gold and silver are the barometer of I like to say monetary rectitude or monetary competence, and I don't think the central banks have been competent in the last 10 years, and it's going to show. You know, you can't print money out of thin air forever and have it, and it doesn't create prosperity. Um, Gold is not manipulated, it is controlled with precision. Yeah, maybe a bit. You're probably right, derelict. So I'll take a few more questions here, and I'm going to, you know, call it a day. We've been here for almost an hour and a half. So UN scammable. Why has FTSE gone up so much since Brexit? Well, actually, if you the reason why it's because the pound's gone down. So when the pound goes down, UK companies do better. You know, they export more. And if you know to look at the FTSE in the last 2 months, it got down to 7,000 about 6 weeks ago, and the pound was about 143, and then the pound collapsed. You know, didn't collapse, but it's come down to like 133, and the FTSE is going right back up. It's just a currency, so it's not a real gain. It's because the currency has gone down. That's why the FTSE. But if you look back to the year 2000, the FTSE topped at 7,000. So, you know, in the last 18 years, it's gone up 10%. So hasn't done well. Matthias Carroll, there's a YouTuber called Black Pigeon Speaks that has an excellent video about the war bond scheme. Yeah, I've seen Black Pigeon Speaks. I will have a look at that video. Thank you. Let's see, one more question. Bitcoin believes, are you afraid of robots, Skynet? Uh, I don't know. I mean, don't know. I mean, I think I'm not sure what Skynet is. Robots, yeah, they hopefully, you know, they won't take over everything. I think it's up to us to fight that. Over here, how much involvement in the Vietnam War did Britain have? I don't know actually how much they did. I don't think as much as the U.S. Or even Australia. Matthias Garrow, thanks for the insight. Enjoy his video. You're welcome. Uh, Derek, yeah, thanks for the donation, Derek. I won't spend the $5 on another place. Uh, Bailey Tugati Mario at Juru84 says best money for society has to decline in value, so money will be more spent and benefits therefore everyone. I don't agree with that. In the we had the Industrial Revolution in the UK. England was the richest country in the world, and from like when Isaac Newton set the gold standard in 1703 or '05, for the next 200 years, it was at the same. The pound was gold, and look what happened in England. All the industrialization, how prosperous from 1700 to 1900 the country became. And one example is with £1 uh, in 1900, you could buy twice as much as you could in 1800. So you actually had deflation for 200 years in the UK, and the UK did really well. So yeah, I'm going to end it here. I like to thank everyone for showing up. I'd like to thank for all the donations, and hopefully I'll be back on Sunday. I'll let people know, on the last video before I come on the live stream. So have a great evening or afternoon wherever you are, or even morning if you're in Asia. And I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.